Welcome to the Competitive Edge podcast. My name is Dr. Latitia McCane, and I'm so excited to be back for another episode. I am excited about this episode because we're going to dive more into how do you prepare for college, as well as how do you get the scholarships to be able to be successful when you go to college. We're also going to talk about internships, 20-hour jobs on campus, and then what do you need to do to prepare to exit college. And I am so excited to have Morgan back again with me to talk about these exciting topics. Morgan, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. And so, one of the things that I've been so passionate about throughout my career is standing up scholarship programs for students to help them to go to college without having college debt, and also giving them a plan to do that. And we've been particularly successful in that area because I worked 23 years at a community college. And so I am a huge advocate for a 2+2, doing 2 years of your associate's degree and then transferring those credits into a college or a university. And the state of Alabama is set up for that because the state of Alabama has something that's called STARS, the State Articulation Agreement, that whatever high school, whatever credits that you take at a community college will automatically transfer into a university. And it's a smooth transition. And having that STARS agreement when you first start the community college is one of the things that I've just been, an advocate for. And so that is one of the things that I tried to make sure that you and Megan had that same opportunity where you get that associate's degree and then transfer it into the university. So Morgan, why don't you tell us, how was that experience transferring those credits from your associate's degree into a university?
I don't really know. I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, the only bad, not really bad, but the only thing that tripped up was when we went to that university that said that they wouldn't accept all my credits. And then I think that there was another university that came to our school, or I went to something at that university where I was like, oh, I knew I wasn't going to go there, but I just asked anyway. And I was like, oh, well, I did dual enrollment and did 2 years. I'm getting my associate's degree. Would you accept my credits? And they were basically like, no. Like, we don't accept dual enrollment credits. Like, I don't think they said that they basically, when they explained it, they basically did not consider dual enrollment credits as like real credits.
Yeah, I think in some cases, like, there are some like private colleges sometimes that don't take all the dual enrollment credit. So that's why it's important that if you do an associate's degree, to kind of talk to the university that you're thinking about transferring to, and that will help you to make sure that they accept those credits.
Yeah, because I remember that we ended up basically making a list of colleges that I was interested in going to, and then going and visit all of them and asking straight up, and basically saying straight up, this is what I got, this is what we're coming with, are you going to take them or not? And whichever one said no, they were crossed off. Whichever one said yes, they were considered. And it got boiled down to only one college being like, oh, okay, we'll take all of your credits, and we'll also look into getting you a scholarship that isn't I'm coming out of high school scholarship, but I'm coming out of a community college transfer scholarship, which gave me an even better deal than I would have if I would have been just high school trying to get a college, trying to go to college and then having a scholarship.
Yeah, I think too, there's a lot of conversations around college affordability, just talking to so many parents that really don't have the finances to send their children to college. And I mean, kids sometimes don't know that their parents really can't afford it until they actually go. And so when you look at the national debt, how much debt is around folks going to college, and what's really sad is that so many families take out so much debt, but then their children don't earn their degree and they still have to pay back that debt, because when you sign that student loan, it's a loan. And so one of the things that I want to do in this podcast is kind of give people I think some tips on how not to come out with so much college debt. And of course, that starts with taking advantage of dual enrollment classes, taking advantage of the community college classes, taking advantage of dual enrollment courses with universities. Now, a lot of universities have dual enrollment courses. And so dual enrollment is definitely a path, I think, for people to be able to afford college. And so, while you were going through college, did you meet a lot of people that had to take out loans to go to college? Were they there on loans?
Yeah, I think everybody I met was there on loans. I don't think I met anybody that was there. No, I don't think I met anybody that was there on scholarship. I don't think I met anyone that was there on paying out of pocket. I think everybody I met was taking out a loan.
Yeah. And so the loans, not only do families have to pay tuition, but they also have to pay room and board. Because I know, like, your scholarship paid tuition, but it didn't pay for room and board. So we were still responsible for room and board. And so there are a lot of scholarships. There are not a lot of scholarships for room and board, but there are a lot of scholarships for tuition. There are a lot of scholarships for leadership. There are just so many scholarships that families can take care of. And one of the things that a lot of families don't know is that a lot of your universities, they have so many scholarships, but they also have a lot of the alumni foundation. There are a lot of donors that give money to the college that students can actually take advantage of. Heck, there are scholarships that are specifically for your major, and that's why I'm always a proponent of going to the department that you know that you're going to be majoring in and ask, okay, what kind of scholarships are available in those majors? Because I know when I came into Alabama State University as a freshman, I actually came in with a 20-hour job through the National Science Foundation, the National Institute of Health. They were actually paying for students to do research in that first year. So I was fortunate as a freshman to walk onto campus, and I was actually in a 20-hour job. And 20-hour jobs are so powerful, especially when sometimes you may come from a family where you don't get financial aid. I didn't qualify for financial aid. And so I was able to come in with the 20-hour job, which helped pay for my housing. They gave me leadership scholarships that paid for my housing. So I'm fortunate that I went through college 9 years straight with no debt, because there are a lot of funding around ensuring that
you were in college for 9 years?
I was in college for 9 years. 9 years.
Because I'm trying to think about how long I've been in college. That's 6 years. Oh my gosh. And when did you go into college?
In 19...
No. What age?
I was 18.
And you left at 30.
I did not leave at 30.
What age you left?
26, 27.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Well, I was fortunate in that when I finished from Alabama State, I got a fellowship to go and earn my master's degree in chemistry. And so I went to Texas Southern University and I earned a master's in chemistry. But I was also fortunate at Alabama State. I worked 20 hours on campus, but I also interned at Ciba-Geigy Chemical Company in the summers. So I worked 20 hours on campus. And then in all of that, I worked at McDonald's.
Oh.
For $3.35 an hour.
Sometimes I forget that you were an actual chemist. Like, you were like a chemist.
I was a research chemist.
Like,
yes.
like actually real deal.
Real deal chemist.
You don't miss it.
I still do chemistry, but I do the mathematics side of chemistry. I love to write grants and put these puzzles together and see how it fit to help people to better themselves. Yeah, and I love the financial side of running an institution. So
that just really goes to show that I don't know, it just kind of makes me think that where you start off is a lot of times not where you end up. And just because somebody did 9 years
to be a chemist
doesn't mean that they're actually going to end up being a chemist.
Right. but I still use a lot of my chemistry because it's solving complex problems. I love to solve complex problems. They're just people problems. And so, I love the financial side around business. I just love that.
Okay.
And so, after I left Texas Southern, I went and I worked for the Millipore Corporation as a chemist, and then I went and worked on my PhD in chemistry at the University of Alabama.
You got a whole PhD in chemistry, and you were like,
I almost finished, but I lost my funding and didn't finish the dissertation part. But I finished all the coursework and all of that.
okay.
Yeah, and so, yeah, but I didn't pay for any of it, and I got paid more money at every level. So at my bachelor's degree, I think I made $500 a month.
But do you think that people that go into the sciences have a much better chance at getting scholarships than somebody like, let's say, an art? Let's say that there's an art that you and an art student went into Alabama State and decided that that both of you guys wanted a scholarship that was going to cover tuition, books, fees, and not housing, because housing, I know to find something that covers all of that is like really hard. So let's just say tuition, books, fees. Don't you think that a chemist or engineering would probably have more likely a chance to get that than someone in arts? What was somebody in arts and stuff like that?
Well, I'm going to throw it back on you. Were you a science major?
No,
you were a communications major. You had full tuition, books,
well, this
and fees. Wait a minute. So you're asking me a question that you know the answer to because you are an example. And then you work 20 hours on campus.
Well, I'm trying to tell you that the only reason I got that is because I got the scholarship where they looked at me like I was a transfer student. And they did not look at me because they told me if they would have looked at me, they asked me, they said, we could look at you like you're a student coming straight from high school, or we can look at you like a transfer student coming from community college. And they said, if we look at you like you're a high school student, you'll be less likely to get as good as a scholarship as you would get as a transfer student with an associate's degree.
Well, I'm going to have to correct you there.
Well, that's what they told me.
No, because
they said
your ACT score.
Wait a minute, no. Let me finish. Because they told me that they would have to look at my ACT score and my high school GPA. Now, my high school GPA was nowhere near as high as my GPA at my community college.
I understand that, but after your 9th grade year, you start trending where your high school GPA was pretty significant for you to get a scholarship right out of high school. And
it was like a 3.2.
I know, with your ACT score. And so they looked at your high school transcript and your ACT score, and they gave you the scholarship right like you were coming right out of high school, not the transfer scholarship.
They told me that I had no.
You did have a choice, but they said to you, if you want to go for 4 years, you can. Your scholarship will cover for 4 years because you do have the scholarship, as if we're treating you as if you're coming right out of high school, although we know you can get the transfer scholarship.
So what scholarship would be better, going to get a transfer scholarship or a straight out of high school scholarship?
The straight out of high school scholarship, because you have 4 years to get your degree if you can't get it in 2.
So if somebody's doing dual enrollment, they need to be looked at. If they're looking into scholarships, they need to look into ones saying that they're coming out of high school and not the ones.
Well, everything's negotiable. You have to look at the institution you're going to and decide what's better for you.
So now they got to. So if they're doing dual enrollment, now they got to go negotiate.
Of course, you have to negotiate everything. You need to look at all of your options as parents. You don't need to just lock into one thing. So that's why I told you, hey, after 2 years, stay there and get another degree. Stay there and get another, because you had scholarship dollars that were still left for you to do that, and you had a choice to do that or not. So there are always choices. Okay. And so talked, and then you asked that question, right? But you also had a 20-hour job. So as a communications major, you had the same scholarship that I had. As a chemistry major, we both went to the same institution, and you also had a 20-hour job in the English lab. So all the things I had as a science major, you got as a communications major. So you answered your own question with your own background.
You looking at me like, now what?
So
What now?
I know. And so the 20-hour job, who helped you get that, and how did you get that?
Oh my gosh, who did help me get that?
Nobody.
No,
You got it on your own.
nobody did, because I know you only told me about it, and so I had to basically go asking around. Who do I go into? And I remember they bounced me around to so many people. I think I started off with looking on the website and then emailing a couple of people on the website.
Is it on the website?
There's something on the website about on-campus jobs. The only hard part is finding out who to email, because it listed like on-campus jobs, and then it listed like 5 people that you can contact. And I didn't, and every person I emailed kept telling me, well, such and such is over there, and such and such is over there, and such and such is over there. And then finally they bounced me to somebody who was like, oh yeah, I'm the person over, you need to come to my office. So then you had to go to their office, and then they gave me application to fill out, where I had to say what I'm interested in, what my skills are, what I'm majoring in, what I think I can contribute. Then they got back to me and said, oh, well, we need somebody in the English lab. I know you're not an English major, but if you are in communications and you can help people with their papers, then we'll help you out or whatever. We'll give you the job. So then I told them yes. They sent me over to the English lab, and then I had to do a test where they told me to write something about my favorite song or something like that. And they had to like see it, like if it was grammatically correct, if it made sense, if the opening and closing was correct. They had to be 2 pages. And then based off how it was, they just came back and told me whether or not it was good enough for me to help other people with their papers. But it was easy to find the 20-hour job, and it was hard. I mean, you really have to go searching. I feel like that's how it is with any HBCU. I feel like you have to always go looking for something. No one's gonna come tell you. And I think that's another thing about just being on college campus. Anyways, you have to realize that nobody's gonna come and tell you nothing. Nobody's not gonna tell you where to find the best advisor. Nobody's gonna go and tell you how to do your schedule correctly. Nobody's gonna go and tell you how to find a 20-hour job, because they're looking at you like an adult that needs to go after what they want to go after. And so you had to go after it. I had to look through that website, and I had to contact everybody and their mama.
So you brought up a good point, and I'm going to have to go here. When you look at the graduation rate of a lot of HBCUs, the percentage of students that are graduating, we just won't even say HBCUs, just say college in general. And that's one of the things that I always try to tell parents. When you send your child to a college, know what the graduation rate is. And then if they're at a PWI, know what the graduation rate is for black students, because that's important. And so why do you think the graduation rate is so low, in particularly at HBCUs for black students? And even at PWIs for black students. You've never gone to a PWI, but, well, yes, you have. Sophia University is a predominantly, Asian university.
I think drive probably drive, discipline, and knowledge. I mean, like I said, it all starts with your schedule. And so many people do not know how to properly do their schedule, because I was fortunate enough to where, because I was in my major, my advisor had to be over my schedule, and I had to sit in an office with him where he was the one who said, these are the classes that you need, and how many hours you have left. How many hours do you want to take this semester? Okay, well, these are the classes that you could take. This class is 2 hours. It's this many hours. Which ones? Look at the descriptions. Let me know. We'll figure it out. I mean, he really walked me through it. But the average Joe coming in as a freshman, they're not going to have an advisor that's going to sit there with them that in depth. I mean, I think I actually went to an advisor one time that wasn't my major, my advisor that was in my major, and because I wanted to drop a class, and they just like randomly sent me to somebody because he wasn't there. And I remember I sat down next to her, and she didn't even understand what my schedule
What
was.
the degree plan was.
Yeah, because what my degree plan was, because she saw my age, she saw me coming in, she didn't know what was going on or anything, and she was just like, I don't really know. And so I just decided, I was going to wait till my advisor comes back. But I'm thinking, well, if that was the experience I had, when mine should be very straightforward because I'm in my major, so there is no bouncing around or nothing. They know what I need to take. I just imagine what it would be like for somebody coming in there and as a freshman, and if you don't really know what your schedule needs to look like let's say you don't know what math that you need. You don't know if you need math 100 in order to move on. You don't know if you need math 110, 112, whatever. If you go into the advisor and they say, well, I think for you would need math 100 and that's it, and you need math 112, you don't know nothing but to take their word for it. Because nobody is going to sit there and show you your specific degree plan and tell you what you need to do. You have to sit up there and you have to go find that stuff. You have to go look at your major and say, oh, I'm chemistry major. For chemistry majors, okay, the prerequisites, they need this math, this English, this stuff. So when I go there, I know I need to make sure that is on my schedule. Because a lot of people just trust that the advisor is not going to do them wrong. That the advisor is going to give them the proper stuff. But you are the 200th person they've seen that day. They ain't gonna remember your face, your name, or nothing. They're gonna routinely try to give you something and not really think about it, unfortunately. And I feel like that's at a lot of places. And then I think at a lot of PWIs, what I've seen before is they don't even give you an advisor a lot of times. They give you your sign in to your portal, and they give you the time that the classes are going to open up, the signing up for the class are going to open up, and they tell everybody to set your alarm and wake up at that time and sit on that computer and try to get into that class. And then a lot of people don't even get into some of the classes that they need for that semester, which messes them up again because they're like, oh, I wasn't able to get into the English I was supposed to, or the economics class I was supposed to because it was full or my computer crashed or whatever. So again, that's what a lot of PWIs do because they have so many kids that instead of giving you any FaceTime, they just tell you that they hope you can get on the portal at the right time. And if you don't go after it, if you don't go after knowing, you have to sit there before that portal even opens and have a list of exactly what you need so that you can already go boom, 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 boom. And even beforehand, to go on the website or go on some type of site where people are talking about the professors, go in there and read about them. So because a lot of times you'll need an economics class, but then there's two economics teachers, and you don't know which one is good and which one would fit you. But then online somewhere somebody has talked about the economics teacher saying, oh, such and such is a good teacher, such and such is not. You just have to do the proper research of yourself and the professors before you sign up, so that you know by the time you have to set up your schedule, you've done it right. You can't leave it in someone else's hands. And I think a lot of kids leave it up to someone else's hands, or they just don't know what they're doing, and they don't do the proper research to figure it out. And mommy and daddy ain't there to tell you if you did it right or not. And so by the time they look up, they in a bad spot. And it's like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how this happened, because they don't know anything.
Well, most mama and daddies don't know either. So
I found that out, that a lot of mom and daddies didn't know either, because they actually didn't even know how they were supposed to do their own schedule.
Right. And I think, but I'm a proponent of the catalog and your degree plan. Your catalog and your degree plan tell you what courses you need to take.
Yeah, they do. So that's what I'm saying, that when you get in there, even if you don't stick with that major, you at least need to tell yourself, okay, like I said, you need to have a notebook sitting down.
Absolutely.
I'm supposed to take this math, this science, this reading course, this whatever. And you need to be ready for that. You need to be ready to sign up for those classes, not just being like, oh, I think I need a math, so I just sign up for this one. Or if an advisor says, oh, I think you need this math. And then the other side of it is also drive and discipline. I see a lot of drive and discipline in women in education, and I don't really see a lot of drive and education in some men, because I think that a lot of times when you go to college, you have to really tell yourself, okay, I have to figure out what's going to be the right structure for me. And I think a lot, but for a good graduation rate, we need both. We need both men and women.
We do.
And like when I went to ASU, I had an all male friend group.
Right.
And that's why I'm speaking on this, because it was so weird to watch them all be older than me, and they just did not know how to how to have any structure. They did not know how to discipline themselves. Like if there was a party on Sunday, but they know they had an 8 a.m. class, they just went and just skipped the 8 a.m. class like whenever, or they would skip class because they were just like, oh, I'm in a bad mood today or something like that, or they wouldn't go study properly or whatever. And I was just like, I could see how it's so easy to get on a college campus and know that you have no eyes on you. Right. You don't have your mama eyes, your daddy eyes, your cousin's eyes. It's just you. It's just you, yourself, and you. So it's like you have to wake your own self up in the morning, and you got to pull yourself out of bed and put your clothes on and say, I'm gonna go to this class and actually pay attention and actually do the homework, because you don't really get a slap on the wrist if you don't do it. It's not like when you were younger, where if you weren't doing your homework or your grades were failing, they're gonna call your parents. Nobody gonna call your parents. Nobody gonna slap you on the wrist. The teachers may or may not even hold you after class and tell you, oh, your grade is falling. They may or may not. And so you have to have the drive and the discipline to tell yourself, oh, I wanted that bad. I wanted that bad. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people. They in their first and second year, and they're just more so thinking about the fact of the intense freedom that they have, and they can get so wrapped up in that they forget that they're in school, because nobody's disciplining them if they don't do well or if they do wrong.
And so, why then? When did you see some of your friends get that wake up call?
I never saw it.
You never saw it.
They all dropped out. I think one, his grades got so bad that he just transferred to a college that was he lost his scholarship, first of all, and his college back where he lived in his hometown said that if he comes over and does football for them, they'll give him a scholarship, and if he needs to start over, he can start over. So he left and he went over to that college, and he, I don't know if he graduated or not, but I hope he did. And then another one dropped smooth clean out. He was like, man, I'm repeating my third year and I don't have no more money and I can't make it.
So, out of that friend group, how many was in the friend group?
Seven.
How many graduated from college?
Me.
So 1 out of 7.
No, I think another girl did. I think it was 2.
2.
It was actually 2.
2 out of 7 did.
Yep.
Wow. And that's what we're up against right now. And the other 5 left with college debt because they still had to take out the student loans to go.
Yeah, I think that they got to a point where they were in college for a certain amount of time, and they just thought, if it hasn't happened now, or if I haven't gotten the degree, then it's just not going to happen. But like I said, I feel like that's a lack of drive, because you at that point sit down, look at your degree plan, and start highlighting what you've already done and what you got left,
right.
and really sort it out and figure it out. But they just didn't want to do it. I think they thought, well, if it hasn't worked out, then it must be a me thing, and I just ain't gonna do it.
So we can't say it's a lack of advisors not being there, because you had a good advisor, right?
Yeah, but that's one guy in one major. I know that there's people. I know people that have said that they didn't have a good advisor.
Okay. All right.
And then I was in my major. This is for people at any point. This is for people that's before they in their major or after.
Did you feel scared going into your major? I mean, you're coming right out of high school and you're dropped into this adult world, right? You're in your major where all your other friends are probably in freshman, sophomore courses. You're in junior level courses. Did you feel scared about that?
Yeah, I felt scared. Who wanted to be friends with a 18-year-old and they 20-something? They 22, 23.
Did you feel intimidated by being in the classes with them? No.
I didn't feel intimidated. I was because I was already at a community college at 15, and everybody was 18, 20-something, whatever. And so going in with them, I had already been in an environment where I was around people that were older than me, and I didn't really care. But I was scared that they didn't want to be my friend, because I had already known what it felt like to be the younger person in the classroom with all these older people, and how they didn't really want to get to know you or be your friend or pal around with you, because they don't want to be no 20-something-year-olds palling around and being friends with a 16 or 15-year-old girl. So I didn't know how it would be like for me to be 18 and then they want to be friends, and then these 23-year-olds want to be friends with me.
Well, socially, was it easy for you to adjust when you got? How was your social life when you in college? Because
I don't think it was as good as it could have been, because I think I was a lot more introverted at that time, and I was so I had gone through Bishop State with these same friends. I had gone through high school with these same friends. So now going to it, and so as I'm moving up in high school and as I'm moving up in community college, I'm still just going with the same people. I didn't have to push myself to make new friends. So now I'm in this environment where I have to push myself to make new friends, and I just didn't have it in me.
Yeah, because I believe that college success is 50% academics and 50% socialization.
Oh yeah, I think I would have had a way better time if I would have socialized, but because I was more introverted and because I was so used to sticking with the same people, I didn't push myself to actually make new friends.
Well, I think what hurt you also, well, I can't say hurt, right? You had relatives on campus. You had cousins on campus.
Yeah, and my cousins had friends, and so I became friends with their friends.
Right.
And but again, it took out the need for me to push myself to socialize. And even though they weren't my cup of tea with people, I made it work because I didn't have it. I was introverted. I didn't have it in me to push myself to make friends like that.
Yeah.
And in my major, we could debate in class, but once class was over, it was like, okay, see you next time. It wasn't like I actually became friends with anybody, but I didn't put myself out there to be friends with anybody. Right when class was over, I always went, all right, and like immediately left.
Right. Well, I think too, having your cousins there also, you already had a friend, and you guys were rooming together, so I think.
Yeah, I didn't need anything. I didn't need to push myself to be social.
Right. No, you didn't. No. So I want to talk about something that's fun, because I always tell this story about how, you actually gave up. You came in as a full scholarship student, so you could have lived in like one of the best dorms on campus, but you gave up the best dorm to be able to go into the upper class dorm to live with your cousin. And so when we went into the dorm, we knew what dorm you were going to be in, right? But we convinced the dorm folks to allow us to bring carpet into your dorm room, and you had wall-to-wall carpet. All of these amenities. It looked like Coming to America when Eddie Murphy moved into the projects. And your room was just so high end. And people were like, how did they get permission to bring carpet into the dorm? What was going on in your mind to convince me, first of all, to go purchase all this stuff?
I don't know why you did it. Why did you agree that it was a good idea? You could have told me no. I don't know. I mean, when you first walk into the dorm room, it's so ugly.
Yeah.
Like, the walls were bricks, and then you had one window. You had two beds that were like this little bit apart, and then you had desks and like a closet that was like a little sliver. And I just looked at it, and it looked like a prison. It's like a prison room. Like the way that the walls were brick, and the way that the window was so tiny, and the way that the floors looked and everything, it just looked like a prison to me. That I was like, am I gonna really spend like 2-something years here? And then I looked at the floor would look nasty because the cleaning wasn't done well. And I was like, ugh. And then I was just like, I just want to make this look more homey, because I know that like after you have a long day of studying, or a long day of doing something, when you trudge all the way through campus and come back to your dorm room, what would you feel like of doing all that? You get back to your dorm room and it's so ugly.
You wouldn't want to study.
I wouldn't want to study. I'd just be like,
right.
This room depressing, the work's depressing, I'm depressed. And so I just decided that the room gotta look cute. So yeah, I got the carpet, and I went and got myself a little bed topper that was memory foam. And I went and got a coffee pot.
And you stuffed the mattress under your bed.
The real mattress under my bed. And yeah. So and I had a coffee maker and a TV. And
you had a large flat screen TV.
Yeah.
So, do you think that that helped though? But just thinking about that environment, right? That helped you to be able to focus.
Yeah, because
Your
I was
environment
yeah,
does.
and I
Yeah.
had Bath and Body Works plug-ins to make the room smell sweet. Yeah, it helped because I mean it was after a long day and after going up all those stairs because the elevator was always broken. It was
Yeah.
nice to swing the door open and feel like you were in a pocket that was like your own. The room smelled like cupcakes all the time. There was a coffee pot in there, so I always had vanilla coffee when I wanted it. I remember sometimes I would go to class with my mug and
Right.
sit there and because my one of my teachers always be like, every time you come in here, I wonder what mug you gonna bring in today with that coffee. I'd get up and make my coffee and have it right with me, and then go to class, sit down with it on my desk with my mug.
Yeah.
And it was nice to go back to my room and just sit the mug down and do some work or something, and then lay on my nice memory foam and look at my big flat screen TV and just be like, oh, woosah. And then and then get up, an hour later and do some homework.
And that's why I say that your environment, socialization, is a huge part of college persistence. But
the downside is that the average Joe is probably going to be rooming with somebody that they don't know.
Right,
So it's
right.
staying with a stranger, and it's hard to try to make sure that you can have your own nice pocket, and when it's just one side of the room.
Right.
But I guess the biggest thing to do is to make sure that one little side of the room is the best. Even if you got to get half a carpet, it's the best thing in the world.
Well, you were rooming with your cousin, and she enjoyed the pleasures of those
Yeah.
amenities in the room.
Yeah.
And then you decided to move off campus. I mean, but you did intern after that first year. You interned. You went back for your senior year. And then after your senior year, you were able to get a job at the place where you interned. Did the internship money help you to transition off campus, or why was interning important? And don't say because I said that it was important for you to intern.
I was going to say that's exactly why I was going to. But I guess it was important for me to intern because it was, I don't know, I think that internship just showed me what it was like to actually work at a 9-to-5 button-up job. It's like you keep thinking about it, but then when I had to go shopping, first of all, the biggest shock to me was when I had to go shopping for clothes to work there. I didn't know what business. I didn't know that it was going to be like that. I got to wear flats or little bitty black high heels. I mean, you go from dressing like your age, basically,
Right.
like a 19-year-old. I was like 19, 20. You go from dressing like a 20-year-old or a 19-year-old to having to wear business casual or business type clothes. Then you got to figure out work etiquette. What do I do when I first clock in? What does my day look like? If my day starts at 7:30, does it start when I step in or does it start when I log on? Like,
Right,
what time
right.
do I need to get there? Who do I go see? What does a morning meeting look like? What is this? What is this? And so it was very interesting to have to do that because internships are the only way you're going to figure out what is for you and what is not. And I went in that office and I quickly realized what was for me and what was not. Even talking to people, like, if somebody had pissed me off, I was so easy. I was like, oh yeah. When somebody was like, oh, were you mad with such and such earlier? I was, man. I can't believe they said that to me. Next thing I know, I'm getting called in and they telling me that the person I told went and told someone else. And it's like, you got to know that you can't talk to everybody. You can't do this. It was like all these workplace politics, all these like maneuvering. And I don't know. It was kind of like,
That's good to learn, though.
like I said, you have to learn if that environment
Yes.
is for you. Can
Yes.
you do that? Can
Yes.
you operate in that setting? Can you
Yes.
do you want to wear those type of clothes? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? So it was like I said, I had to sit there and I had to ask myself after the internship, is being in corporate America for me?
And so, going through this internship, it basically showed you what you want to do and what you don't want to do.
Yeah, which is very important, which is why people need to do as many internships as you can. Number one, you get paid, and then number two, you can figure out if that's actually something that you want to do or actually something that you don't want to do.
Okay. And so, after the internship, you then decided and transitioned into the workplace, and all of those same things you learned actually in the workplace. And navigating those workplace politics is definitely something that you have to do. And a lot of people don't know about that. And do they teach you that kind of stuff while you're in college?
No. I think that that's one of the biggest letdowns, where I don't know if they do this at every college, but they definitely did not prepare me for the workplace. They just prepared you to basically get your degree, but they were not telling you, oh, but when you go to work, it'll be like this or like this or like this. So
Right. And so, as you continue to go on your journey, then you went to graduate school. How was graduate school? Was it the same as undergraduate? I mean, was it a different environment?
it was different because I didn't have anybody that I knew. I mean, I was in Japan now, and I didn't have my cousins. I didn't have friends that like I knew before. I had to start everything from scratch, and so I had to actually push myself to talk to people, even though the introvert in me didn't want to talk to anybody. But I had thought about how lonely I might be, or how I might struggle in class if I didn't have a team, if I didn't have people that I could talk to or could help. And because people had a little bit more background in this than me, maybe. And so there were classes that sometimes I didn't understand what the professor wanted, or even the way you would write a paper was completely different than what I was used to at my HBCU. I mean, my professor would like write me a one-page whatever, and because they mainly were big people, like big teachers that mainly wanted you to talk in class, that they focused more on that than what you wrote down. But in graduate school, they focus more on what you wrote than what you said in class. So I had to completely figure out. I had to completely rewire my brain to be able to do graduate school and to know how to actually properly write. And the people that were in my major knew how to write. They knew what the professors wanted, and I had to walk up to them and basically be like, "Hey, my name is Morgan. Can we be friends? Also, can you help me with this new paper, because I don't really know what the professor's looking for. Do you know what they mean when they say this?" So I mean, if I wanted to pass it, I had to talk to people. I had to make friends. I had to put myself out there.
And so, what final advice? And thank you so much for just kind of talking us through this higher education journey, and also some tips for the workplace. But as we kind of come to an end of this episode, what advice can you give folks that especially want to go to graduate school out of the country? I think that would be a fun place to end.
Number first, pick somewhere that is gonna be your native. Is gonna have your native language as either the first language or the second language wherever you go. Because a lot of people will pick somewhere, let's say like China or something, and maybe they don't know how to speak English very well, or somewhere that, if you feel like you don't know, if you want to go somewhere that speaks a foreign language and you don't know that language by heart, you have to pick somewhere where their second language is English, or just go somewhere where their first language is English. And so I think that's the biggest thing going out the country. Second, you have to ask yourself if you are socially prepared to put yourself in the unknown and be able to start a life from scratch. Not mama or daddy or cousin or friend or whatever. No one's going to be there for you. Do you have it in you to get yourself to build a life from scratch? Because I did not realize how introverted I was, or how maybe I had social anxiety, until I went to a different country and had to put myself out there. And I had to actually strip that from my own personality and push myself to be like a talker. Even though I used to be a talker when I was a kid, I basically had to get right back in touch with that and yap and make friends. So I guess that's the piece of advice I would give. Number one, pick somewhere that either is your native language, or their second language is your native language. And two, ask yourself if you can actually build a life from scratch. And I don't even mean just socially. I also mean moving yourself over there and figuring everything out by yourself. I can't believe how many times I had to go to the city office and sit there and be like, "Please explain to me how to do a bank account. Please explain to me how to set up water. Please explain to me how to turn on the gas. Who do I contact to turn on the gas?" Or I would get home and be like, "The gas ain't turned on. Now who I got to talk to get the gas?" Or figure out the train system. I had to sit in the train station and just look at all the signs for hours and be like, "Okay, so that's supposed to go there, but then does that go there? And then what do?" So You have to ask yourself, are you ready to build a life from scratch? No help.
Well, Morgan, thank you, and we're going to miss you as you go back to Japan, and safe travels. Please like and subscribe to our podcast. We definitely want you to support us and to follow us on YouTube. Thank you.